Uganda is currently experiencing a surge in COVID-19 deaths, far beyond what was seen in the first wave of the pandemic last year. As previously shown on NTV, coffin makers and funeral services companies can barely keep up with the COVID-19 deaths, especially around Kampala. Using funeral services companies comes at a high price because the companies claim they incur many costs attached to special needs, like purchasing personal protective equipment. The burial charges from the funeral services companies range from 4 million shillings upwards. Not everybody can afford this kind of money, and yet people still have to bury their relatives and friends. Now, the Ministry of Health has issued guidelines on how members of the public can bury their people safely.
There should also be contact with the district task force or the DHO's office, and that is where they can have assistance of qualified health professionals putting this body into a body bag and packaging it very well. That is after the procedures like post-mortem have been done, and then proceed with the burial process.
The Executive Director of the Uganda Virus Research Institute, Professor Pontiano Kalebu, agrees with the ministry advice.
When you die, when your cells die, the virus is no longer multiplying within your cells, because the virus really multiplies in a living cell. What remains potentially risky is the virus that has in droplets, in liquid somewhere.
Though the personal protective equipment is important, sometimes its use may lead to stigma from members of the community.
This continuous use of coveralls and PPEs have continuously stigmatized the whole burial process. So we want to know that the evidence gathered indicate that once the body is well packaged, it can be handled, it can be buried by even family members. Because we have learned that many people are either taking advantage of the family members, and because of the fear, to charge them highly to bury these bodies, which should really not be a complicated case.
Professor Kalebu says family members can also view their deceased relatives safely without getting infected.
In fact, if the coffin, I have a belief, if the coffin is well disinfected, you have your gloves and you don't touch it, you can't look at your beloved ones who have passed away. I don't know the new SOPs now, but I think we need to look at them clearly and explain.
It's important to note that government, through the Ministry of Health, has just relaxed the burial guidelines. In the early months of the pandemic, burials related to COVID-19 deaths were carried out by the Uganda Red Cross. The Health Ministry has also relaxed guidelines on handling contacts. Anybody who comes into contact with a COVID-19 positive person is now allowed to self-isolate at home, unlike last year where all contacts were taken into mandatory quarantine. The ministry now also allows asymptomatic patients to do home treatment, unlike last year where all positive cases were taken into the hospitals. Jean Cliff Wamala, NTV News.